Welcome to the second part of our 50th episode. Last week, we spoke to three homemakers and we talked about their trials and tribulations, as well as the opportunities that they saw in the job. This week, we're speaking to three more people who have had a run in a career. Some of them have worked from home right from the beginning, others have worked outside and then spent time to look after the family. So the wonderful thing about this was the way they organized themselves for this particular program. We had a call earlier to ensure that everything was in place. And while we were ironing out some of the kinks that were there yesterday, it's amazing how they organized this around being present and available. And Shivani, for example, ensured that none of her children were there at home to ensure that she got the bandwidth necessary. Miriam came to her husband's office and to ensure that she would get the best broadband experience available. And Akshata didn't have problems. I think from yesterday she just organized herself and got online. So let's speak to them. Let me give you a short introduction so that you know what they're about. Akshata Buch has over a dozen years of experience in brand building and marketing strategy, in on ground retail sales to brand management. She has helped large and small FMCG brands understand positioning and market fit across India, Southeast Asia, and Europe. And now she's a homemaker as well. So let me welcome Akshata to the program. Thank you for coming on the show, Akshata.
Thank you so much, Venu. I'm really glad to be here, and it's a true privilege to just be part of your lovely series. I hope I can make a difference.
Thank you. Okay. Uh, Miriam Cherian, brought up in Delhi and then shifted to Mysore. So there was a cultural shift from a large city to a small town. And her husband was at the start of his entrepreneurial career. So, two kids, and decades later, she has managed to build not just a home for herself, but also manage several other things along the way. Miriam, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Venu. It's a great honor to be a part of this show. I'm looking forward to the discussions with the other young girls so that I get to hear the recent experiences and I can share my past experiences of the
Wonderful.
career.
Wonderful. And finally, Shivani Shukla has a background in design and she has worked in the fashion and the retail sector with brands such as DLF brands, Harley Davidson, and the United Colors of Benetton. She has been a solo entrepreneur as well and has a jewelry brand called Birdie by Shivani and is a co-founder of the Supra Sorted, a platform dedicated to help people streamline and organize their lives. Hi Shivani, welcome to the show. You're on mute, Shivani. Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much. And
Pleasure having all of you. Okay, so Akshata, tell me what your childhood was like, and what is it that now you're seeing the world from the other end of the telescope as a mother and as a parent. So, what is it like to be a child?
Yeah, so I have so many things to say, but let me just focus on the key ones. So what has really shaped me? Um, I grew up in a very small township, which had very few materialistic pleasures, and you could not access as many things. So having that simplistic lifestyle and upbringing really taught us some really profound lessons from living close to nature and recognizing just the importance of sustainable living. So I think these experiences have clearly fueled my entire commitment towards environmental awareness, and also just taking care of nature in terms of just loving nature for what it is, through different experiences that I've had in my life. Also, we always had dirty palms and sand in our shoes when we walked into our homes, because we just had this access to beaches and open parks and open, just land where we could just frolic and do things. I feel
Right.
bad for the generation that is today, where they don't get this kind of a thing. But yeah, so I think what has really shaped me at that point was about just recognizing this whole importance of sustainable living. I think that is very important, which really was it came
Part
up
of
in my
early childhood.
early in my childhood. So that I
Yeah.
really I really cherish that bit about my childhood. Also, I come from a very matriarchal setup, so I had very strong women. My grandmother, my mother, they were very, very strong matriarchal figures who have shaped the way we, think and feel. So they've really imbibed some incredible values in us, like, just being
Right.
more expressive, confident. You have a strong sense of independence, being more supportive with relationships, and being more mutually responsible about different tasks around the house. I think all these have really shaped me,
Okay.
the kind of woman I am today. And I think I make sure that my daughter learns from these things, and learns these
Absolutely. Yeah.
life skills,
It's really
resilience.
about passing
Yeah,
things down what you
yeah,
already learned. So
yeah.
let's go to Miriam here now and hear what she has to say.
Yeah, I grew up in Delhi, of course, born and brought up in Delhi, and I moved to Mysore very soon in my life. I got married early, and I came to Mysore. In fact, my husband came to Mysore to start an industry, and we just followed. We were very young, and we didn't know what we were doing, but then stood by him to do that. And I think being in Mysore was a great thing. Being in a small city, it helped us a lot to lead our life without any pressure from anywhere. So that I think the Mysore as a city helped me a lot to be what I am today. I think I wouldn't have got this if I was in a bigger city. And even in a bigger city, I grew up in a very humble, simple life. I think those days that's what was available. There was no fantastic
Right.
lifestyle those days at all. So this was easy to get into a city which was small and people were nice. And along with the people, I also grew. I grew actually in Mysore, I should be saying, and I give thanks to the city of Mysore and my husband who has evolved me to be a person who I am today. I think that's what
Wonderful.
I grateful to these two things definitely because I grew up
Wonderful,
along with
Miriam.
them. Yeah, yeah.
Great. So now, Shivani, what has your experience been like?
So I am from a very small village, interior village of Rajasthan. As you know, the Rajasthan is very culturally vibrant, and they have rich tradition and everything. So I am from a village where you get once a week to go out. Like my school is like 45 kilometers from my home, and we used to
Oh,
travel. I was traveling since I was 3 years old in the bus, in the school bus, and going 90 kilometers through and for. So from the start, we are very self dependent, and so I was very outdoorsy child from the start. It's like my childhood is awesome because I didn't remember anything. My parents are holding me back for anything. They are like traditional but yet liberal and totally unbiased with my brother and my sister. We are two sisters, so we never saw any biased in their decisions that the my brother will get something more than us. So we get all the education whatever my brother is getting got. And I used to be a very nature loving outdoor person. I used to chase cows and their kids and the puppies, and used to bring puppies home. And my that's why my imagination and my creativity where it broadens, and risk taking ability, because we are traveling every day to school. So coming back and through, and then I know that my mother is also working, so at home it made us very self-dependent, like to keep our uniform at the place and to eat
Right.
our lunch on time and do our homework by ourselves. And I didn't even remember when I'm doing my homework by myself, I didn't even remember. Like it's like 5 or 6 years old, I was doing my homework and I'm helping my sister and my brother and helping in my household chores with my mother. So it's that's why I inculcate the it's in my profession that I'm imaginative, I take risk, I do something new every day. I want to learn new things. I'm out there to learn anything new which I haven't tried yet. So that's the same thing I'm
Wonderful,
doing.
Shivani. Absolutely. One thing that I see in the conversation that I've had so far is that you had childhoods where you had parents who let you be, that they encouraged you to do your thing. So at some point, do you think that those are exactly the kind of values that you're passing on to your children? Is that how you would see it?
Well, in my
Akshata,
case,
you
I
can
don't
go.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, sure. So, I mean, I definitely do feel that I am trying my best to, pass on these values. Like, definitely when it comes to resilience, just being a bit more independent, learning life skills, these are things which will only come over time, which it takes a lot to get to that point. I'm sure Miriam will be able to throw better light on that, because I have a 7-year-old, so it's too early for me to really say whether I've gotten there yet, or am I able to successfully impart that value. While yes, I am trying and striving to do so, definitely that's these three things are something I'm really really keen to pass it on to her. Being resilient, being independent, being having your life skills in place. I think these three things, once you figure out, you should
The rest of it is, yeah.
you can,
Okay.
yeah, you can get through situations.
But tell me, how do you approach disciplining a child? How do you take tantrums in your stride? What are the things that you have found work for you? Because I asked the earlier
Yeah.
group of people, and they said, one of them said, I just walk away and come back later. So, what is your
Yeah.
technique?
Well, I try to walk away many times. I have tried it before, but it is to no avail at the moment because she is too young to understand, and it feels almost like, I don't want to be the person who's abandoning her when she needs someone at that moment, right? So, what I try to do is just get down to her level, look at her eye to eye, comfort her, try to understand what is this, what is she going through at that moment, and just trying to empathize with her, what she's feeling sad about, because many times kids this age are even not able to articulate what they are truly feeling upset about, right? It must be
Okay.
something that they're carrying back from school and so on. So I think what I try to do is just calm down myself first, like not show my nerves to her, because that is the first thing that one would want to do.
Yeah.
But just go down to her level, look at her eye to eye, just hold her and say that, I'm right here, but you need to just express it. We can talk normally about it. And I think there is something she does realize, that that I have to change the way I talk. We are still
Right.
working on it. So
You're
yeah.
talking about the
Okay.
7-year-old. I'm still talking to my 37-year-old and my 33-year-old, the same language as you are talking to the 7-year-old. So I suppose it goes on as a
Mm.
mother. It goes on till you are a mother, till the day you.
Okay.
I talk to them so that they understand. Still, you're still imbibing values into them. It goes on.
Yeah. It never
And
stops.
it never stops. As we were talking earlier, it is a lifetime commitment and it has to move on, it has to go on. Whether they like it or not, we are trying to
Right.
impose it onto them. Yes, in
And
several manners. It may not be directly telling them, but it might be showing them the way you are
Yes.
living. You probably at a certain stage you won't be able to talk to them or to reach up to them. So only thing you can do is to show them and just think that okay, they are going to watch you and then do the right thing. Yeah.
okay. So, Miriam, do you feel that uh, as parents, we learn parenting from our first child, and then those lessons
Uh,
are easier?
first child, you are always experimenting. By the second child, you have learned your mistakes, what you have done with the first child. So probably you just let go and let that child learn by herself or himself.
Yeah.
So experimenting is the thing, and the excitement of bringing up the first child is always different. So you have it is a different experience altogether, because you are also totally new to the
Topic.
feeling,
Yeah.
to the results of what how it is going to be. So it is an experience, of course. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
yeah, yes.
Shivani, what has your experience been?
So my experience is like if he's doing anything like throwing tantrums or something, I just wait for him to calm down, and I just stand there and try to reason first, and then
Yeah.
if nothing works, then I just stay there and quietly, and so that he can calm himself down. He should understand that why he's doing that. Then we can reason and talk about it. And it's not a one day work. It's like you have to continuously talk to them, show them, and teach them how to behave, or how to be and self dependent, emotionally self sufficient, to understand and to calm themselves. It's really important. What they need and what they want is totally different. So they
Right.
need to understand what they need and what they want. So they
Even
have
before
to,
they understand. Yeah. Yeah.
you have to match it. And so it's not a one day work or one time work. It's like totally every day we have to do the same thing again and again and again, till definitely it never comes to a point where we
Never
want
come.
like
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
coming,
That
it's
is
coming.
something that you have to do.
I think
Okay.
the
So Akshata,
other,
let me.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, another thing I wanted to just add to it was like, being consistent with our messaging to them is
Yes.
so important, and that is very hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges I face, at least in
How do you
parenting.
manage them asking the same question over and over and over again? They're learning, but what is your way of coming back to that and then saying, because it can frankly get very trying because it's not
Yeah.
easy. There are reserves of patience that you can have, but there's a point when the same question
After
occurs.
a
So,
point, I just go blind. It's like I'm it's it's just going above, like I don't know
I
what she's in
I
the same
always
mood.
encourage him to remember what we talked about last time, and how you did it, and what kind of thing, what kind of point we made, like what you like and what you didn't like and everything. So it's like it's the consistency which matters. And
okay.
every time the silence is not the answer. Definitely, the reasoning is
Yeah.
the answer.
Okay, so Miriam, what is your this thing? I think, like you said, even at your children age there right now, you're still reasoning with them. But what is your sort of solution for answering the same questions over and over again? Or it's not something that you, or
No, I
that is
think
still an issue.
at this moment I'm relating more to my grandson or my granddaughter rather than my
Okay,
children. Like
okay,
they are almost at the same age, 5 and 4. So I relate
right.
to them more than my children. So, yeah, but then
So
you have
what
to
is the
keep.
difference now with your grandchildren? What is the difference?
Oh, I think there's a huge gap how my children grew up and how my grandchildren are growing up. I definitely feel my children were much more easier than grandchildren, because there's a huge gap of how the interaction is. There's so much of other technologies involved in with how the children are growing up now. For us, it was much more easier. There was hardly any TV time. There was very, like in the evening, probably then they come back from school, they get a little bit of time and they're out to play. So which was much much more easier than now, the phones being there and the children insisting on looking at the phone, either for their meal or to bring down their tantrums or anything like that. So but I feel there's a huge gap how our children grew up, or and how my grandchildren are growing up.
Okay.
So
So
that's
there
what
is
I
a real
feel.
difference in that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely, definitely, definitely,
There's
Okay.
yes.
one there's
So,
an
so
even this
Akshata, I have one
generation is,
question here.
yeah.
The stress of the workplace versus the stress of bringing up children. You've handled both. Would you
It,
trade one for the other?
Whoa. um I think I would definitely make the stress at work better, because you can control how much, there are no surprises as much. Like there are
Right.
many, there are not as many surprises. Let me say that. Like while you have to be part of these very and presentations and whatever, you have enough time to prepare yourself. You have enough time to look after yourself
Yeah.
and like just come back properly to respond to those kind of requirements. When it comes to children, they just throw you by surprise, because they are like, and this generation maybe is also very different, because they are very, everything is about instant. Like, I thought about it, I want it, it has to be here right now. Like, there is no
Right.
time,
Delay.
yes.
Exactly.
Gratification
So
has to
when,
be instant.
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
would like to
waiting
say
time,
something.
patience is something which this generation absolutely has,
No
unfortunately, but
control over.
they don't seem
Yeah.
to have that. And that is something which I think newer parents like us are struggling a lot to
Can I
get them
say
to.
something on that?
Yeah, I'll just get you in, Miriam.
Yeah. Yeah,
Huh.
so when she's saying instantly, if we had to buy something for our child, we usually go out to the market and go and buy, and you get that time to talk to the child and understand the child. But now the child is demanding, Mom, Ma, order it for me. Take your phone, order it for me. So then it has to come home in 10 minutes time or 5 minutes time, and the child is holding the phone to see where that Swiggy guy has reached, which was like totally unknown to
Yeah,
us,
it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy.
it's
So
instant.
you're
It's
right.
now
I think parents today have it much tougher.
much
So
tougher,
Shivani,
much
how do
tougher.
you handle this constant behavior where they
it
require
is
something
it is
immediately?
also tough when your partner is upbringing is very different from your upbringing, because
Right,
I grew up in a village, a very
right,
small place where you did not get everything, anything, or you can say anything, only one shop of grocery and one shop of medicine, and it's like that. But my
right.
husband, he grew up, his parents are doctors, and they grew up in a different setup. So whenever my kid wants something to eat or something, so he order all the time. And with me, it's like we'll make it at home, we'll do it at home, and we'll do it together. But my husband is like, let it be, we'll order it. So it's like real struggle there, because to bring my husband on board, it takes a lot of energy. And if we do it in front of
Yeah,
our kids, they know that this is the person we should go, and this is and my husband is not at home all the time, and he's not dealing with all the things which I am
yeah,
dealing. So he's like,
exactly.
easy way out to do, order it from outside and bring it, like, de do.
Right. And it's easier being the good guy, right? Because when
Actually,
you come in and then say that, look,
I was just coming to that, but my father had told me some time ago, that parenting is all about good cop and bad cop. Like, one of them has to be the bad cop, one of them has to be the good cop. So I think that has really worked very well for both of us, like me and my husband. And like, I really thank my dad for giving me this piece of advice, because being the good cop and bad cop really helps us get through situations faster, if not.
but who plays? Do you alternate good cop and bad cop, or someone
We
is
have
always the
to.
good cop?
Yeah, we
No, are
have
you
to.
always playing one role? Like, as if in a situation you're the
No,
bad cop, you keep switching so that
we
the
we keep
child does.
switching depending on the situation. So we have to quickly assess, between both the partners. We have to like quickly assess that, okay, I have become the bad cop now. So then he takes over as being the good cop and tries to, at least console her, because in our case we just go down to meltdowns very quickly. So like, my daughter doesn't have the patience like Shivani's kid, who is more reason, who listens to reasons. I haven't gotten there yet. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, Miriam, let me ask you another thing. In terms of how do you, there's a stage at which they grow up. There's a point when they're clinging to you all the time. And then there is a point when they want to exert their independence, right? Because they want to, it could start with something as simple as I want to wear my shoes to I don't need you to do this anymore. So, as a mother, how do you see these stages changing, and has your view of children changed over as they grow up? It will change, of course, but
Of
in
course,
your
yeah.
case, what are the stages that you
Yeah,
recognize?
I remember. I mean, I could see the change while they were in school itself, especially like when you used to write their elocutions, your essays, and all those things. They were dependent on me to write for them. At some stage, I remember my son telling me, "Whatever you're writing is not good enough for me. It's not good. I will write it on my own." That was in the ninth standard, and from then on,
Okay,
you could see the changes happening. And then of course the boys move out faster than the girls, and you at some point you are happy that they are independent, independent for themselves emotionally. Of course it affects you, even till this day it affects you that they are not a part of
on
your
their own. Yeah,
all your life all the time. Definitely it affects you, but then
right.
it is nice to see them growing up on their own, independent. Now I see them, their own family, how they are leading their life. It is definitely a happy thing to see them independently living and handling the situation on their own. Most of the time handling the situation without depending on anybody, it is a great feeling that okay, they have reached a stage where they are able to lead their life on their own, which
Okay,
is happiness. But of course, emotionally, it affects you. Oh, they are not anymore part of you. Uh, so I always say I have photographs in the room when the children were younger, and I still say that these are the photographs when the children were mine. Now they are no longer mine, so they also belong to somebody
okay.
else. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's a
so
lovely
that's
way of
how it
putting it.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
how it is.
that's the way it
I'm
is.
extremely happy that they are independent. Yeah.
Great. So, Shiva, this thing of, I think it was very interesting, that whole point which you said of the differences in how you want to bring up because of the background. Like you said, okay, I came from a place where none of your needs were fulfilled overnight. Your husband came from a place where it was, but then you are figuring out that exact point at which it's good for the child, or it's something that you're working out your own solution. So how do you think?
So so at our when we were kids, we didn't know what is cake is, and we didn't know. So there's no point we are asking anything to our parents. The only thing I ask my parents is to go outdoor and play. And
Yeah,
this is what I am not listening from my kid every day. He's like, "Okay, give me the TV. I'll watch some TV, or give me some chocolates." And chocolate is a huge thing for us. Like, it's like
right,
once in a year, if somebody is coming from somewhere and bringing us chocolate, it's like, I still remember my Tauji. He brings the chocolate, and that's the first experience I had with the chocolates, which I can eat whole. I don't have to share it with my sister and my brother. So it's a different experience for us. So we didn't know that we can ask for chocolates and for different things. Only things we ask for, how we can play outside, and we just don't want to be at home because we want to play outside. But with these kids, there are, first thing, they are single child, and they don't have
Yeah.
siblings, or
Yeah.
they have limited friends in the society, and limited place to be. And so it is challenging. And with my, you can see, my husband has our two brothers. So they have always had everything, and they are from a small town, from UP. So they have everything, like car, and
right.
all the facilities, all the amenities. They go to movies. They used to watch movies when they were like 6 or 7, and I watched my movie when I was in 10th. So it's a huge difference in our upbringing. And he used to tease me that you tasted pizza in 2007. When I go, yes, definitely, I tasted it in 2007, because we were eating much better food at that time. So it's definitely a trial and error with both of us, with my husband and with
Right.
my kid, because my husband is also a different, an adult kid for me.
Okay.
And
Great. Thank you, Shivani. Now, Akshata, in terms of how do uh, you wanted that you should bring up your own child, right? Or is it something that you decided you will take a break and then get back to a job? Or how exactly did you play this whole thing out?
Honestly, Venu, I hadn't planned to stay at home. That was never part of my plan as such. Like when I started out my career, it was all like, see, I've always been an independent person. So my first job also took me to the really rural parts of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and AP and so on, where I used to, be part of sales teams and like sell FMCG products into retail and so on. So at that point, you never think about, having a life where yes, you want to have a child, you want to have a family, you want to look after the child, but it was never part of a plan about staying at home. It has also been functional to the it's just because of the way it has happened is because we have shifted, like moved countries thrice. We have like at every single point it is the usually the woman who takes who has to go through
Yeah.
that
Right.
reassessment of her career. So
Right.
yeah, it was never part of the plan, honestly. And but I knew that I want to bring up my child my way, or the way that I have been brought up, where I've seen my mother, my grandmother being part of the system, like being around for me for small little things, and being accessible. I think that is very important. I never wanted her to grow up with just having a help, or somebody who is just looking after her,
Right.
her,
Right.
like
Where it's
her
a job
emotional
for them to,
development.
yeah.
Yes.
And you don't
And
see how the child is actually being
yeah,
shaped.
and exactly. And I mean, I totally believe that emotional quotient is just as important to build, as much as your life skills are, and how how well you are, like how healthy you are, how physically fit you are, and so on. But emotional development is equally important, because it just goes a very long way to just keep a person more grounded, more stable, right? So that is something I have seen my childhood and my parents do. uh, Now the tricky part is, like, this generation, obviously, right, is there is so much of external scrutiny happening, right? Because if a woman has a flourishing career, and she's all out, right? She's if it's I'm just talking about a job like mine, which is like a marketing job, which has to take me to places. I have to travel, I have to meet people. That's part of the deliverables, so I have to show up. So if I am the kind of person who is going to keep being away, it will obviously take away time from my family, and therefore the person is looked at as being very over ambitious and not looking after the family, not keeping the family first. The other flip side of it is that if you do not you do not have a career, or you are not working, or you're on a break, even then there are questions about, is this person ambitious enough? Like, is this person not seeking a career in her life? Like, is this there are so many of these questions that come, not just from recruiters and workplace people, but it is also questioned within your first families and within your first circles, like people, friends, families, friends who have full-time jobs. They are also like, the people are just born judgmental, right? So we have all kinds of people that we experience. So definitely, I think that is one of the trickiest part about it. So I never planned this journey. It has obviously happened. Am I happy it has happened at this point? Yes, I'm very happy, because my daughter is in a life stage where she needs me, and I feel that
Right.
at this point, if I'm not there for her, then what is the
Yeah.
what is the point of my and thankfully my husband is in complete, he is a complete, like, an excellent partner to, just a good team member to get me through this as well. So it really helps me to cope up with this kind of a external pressure. And how
Yeah.
does one, like, go through even self doubt, in that case. So
Absolutely.
he has been
No, I
extremely
think you're
helpful.
making some, yeah, I think you're making some extremely strong points, and all of them are very valid. So let me talk to Miriam and find out what is it that, when you got how did the job of editing the University of Calgary come about? Or were
Yeah.
you looking for something like that?
No, not at all. And as Akshata said, I on the other side, I had no intention to work because for me, being in Mysore, I'm talking about, which was 35 years ago, as a very small town, didn't have any facility of any employment. That was number one. And number two, since my husband was a entrepreneur, he was traveling. We were in a totally new city where which didn't offer much of anything. So I had to be at home to take care of the industry which was just coming up, and while my husband was traveling, so there was no way that I could even think about going out to work. So it was just not in my mind. This came up. I always would say like a manna from heaven when my both my children were in school, full day school, and then during the daytime I had time to do something else other than just waiting for them. That's when this came up to me. One of my relative was the professor in the Calgary University, and he offered me this particular project at that time. And I actually didn't know what I was getting into. It was, he said, you have the time and you know the language, you just get into it and do it. That's
Just get
about
into
all.
it. Okay.
I got only that to do. And I started off uh, with a positive note that I will be able to do. The first issue was a disaster because I just didn't know what I was doing. But later on, I picked up and I did this for 23 years. I
Wow.
think,
Okay.
yeah, it was an
So you
exchange.
managed to work from home at a point when it wasn't just the
Exactly. Those days, something called work from home was never known.
didn't exist.
Outsourcing was never known. So I think I
Right.
was one of the first person to be outsourced in India to do the
Wonderful.
work for Calgary University. I'm sure. I mean, 33 years back, the computers were also not there. It was most
Yeah.
of the time I was doing everything manually. That came much later in my work.
So how would you would write the whole thing and then send
So
it off by mail?
I would get it in hard copy from there. It used to be couriered. Courier was just coming up. Courier
Wow.
was also not the way of sending
Okay.
things those days. So
Right.
I used to get these bundles in courier, and I had to edit it. And I was a
Okay.
not a single woman army. Right from getting this edited, proofread, then get it printed, then pack it up and send it across. Go to the post office on my own. And in that moment, I decided I didn't drive those days. I think I said I have to drive and take these books to the post office, otherwise it wouldn't move from my home. So that was also
Right.
something very positive I did. I went out and learned to drive. So many things relatedly, I
Right.
evolved, I grew along with that,
Wonderful.
which I think was
Well, and I think, like you said,
small
it was
town.
manna from heaven, and it really helped you grow through
Yes,
that stage.
definitely a manna from heaven. In all financially, emotionally, I got an identity for myself. I could call myself somebody, which was very good in a small town where most of the women, 95% of the women were not working in Mysore because there was no employment except if you are a school teacher, you could get. Other than that, there was nothing available in Mysore those days. But that helped me because there was absolutely no pressure, as what Akshata was telling me, was talking. There was absolutely no pressure from any quarter saying that why are you not working. Those
Okay.
days, it was not a pressure. So it was easy.
Great.
It was much more
It was
easier.
easy at that point.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Great. So, Shivani, you had exactly the opposite experience. You came from a small town and then moved to a city. Okay,
Yes,
so mentally you had to shift. It was like changing gears and getting into a different thing altogether. So, in terms of growing up or bringing up your child, what are the aspects of the small town that you want to preserve? And one is you said go out physically and play. Ensure that that happens. What are the other things that you feel is important to pass on to the child?
uh, to be grounded, to show gratitude, have empathy, to
Yeah,
understand others emotionally. Like if I am not feeling well, if I am sad, he should come up and ask me what happened. So he do that more often. If I'm not feeling myself, or if I'm feeling sad, or if my face is even not smiling, then he comes up to me and asks me, Mama, what happened?
wonderful.
So this is
Yeah,
definitely what I am trying to inculcate in his life or in his emotionally. I want him to be strong and self-dependent, definitely. Because
Right.
we were doing everything on our own. We used to go out once in a month for grocery shopping, and my mother used to give us like money and a list, and we used to travel to
Right.
Biawar, which is like the closest place, which is again 45 kilometers from our place where I studied. And we used to travel by bus. We used to go there, give list to the grocery wala bhaiya, and then bring the those 5 kgs or 6 kgs bags with us. And the bus stand is like 6 or 7 kilometers from the grocery wala, so we used to travel on foot. And it's a different experience which I am not getting anywhere here, and even my kid is not getting. So he's like
Right.
he's not even, his bag is not even that heavy, you know. It's like 1 kg or 1.5 kg, and still he does like, it's too heavy for me to pick up my bag, please can you help me. So it all goes back like, we used to pick up all these 5 to 6 kgs together, and now you are not even. So those are the things which I want him to learn, to help others
Right.
to, and especially to be
Yeah, there
grounded.
are aspects which, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
And in
yeah.
this thing about fashion and starting as a solo entrepreneur, how did that come about? What happened there?
So I was after marriage, I was traveling with my husband. My husband is a marine engineer, so he was traveling, and I was traveling with him for 6 months on ship, and after that at home. And I am a person who likes to visit places and travel, so I was enjoying that time with my husband. And when before Vyom, I was traveling, and after Vyom, I was there. It's a small town called Tundla. I was there with my in-laws, and it's the best time because at the time when your child is really small, and like 2 years are very crucial in terms of vaccination, in terms of upbringing, in terms of help, which generally the women are not getting here in metropolitan cities. I used to have four women who are helping me: my mother, my mother-in-law, one daima, and everybody was there. So the experience was really good. And then we decided to settle down somewhere, and my husband took a ground job. And then we came to Gurgaon, and he joined here in Rivigo.
Okay.
So he helped then I decided that I need to do something. I don't want to sit idle, or because I have a creativity in my mind. I was doing something or the other thing when I was on ship. So the creativity was not, lost, or I was, it's not like I'm not doing anything. I was doing constantly, learning new things, learning new techniques. So when I got the chance, I came to Gurgaon. I started my brand called Birdie by Shivani, and I meet new vendors from Rajasthan, from West Bengal, from Gujarat. And the best thing is to meet them and to understand how they are working. And it fuels your creativity and your imagination. So it
Absolutely.
was but the brand, when I started, it was just before COVID. So at the time of COVID,
No,
the artisans
yeah,
and we, it's all bombed, and it was really tough time
right.
for us.
No, but it's a part of, I think, growing up or figuring out how these things will work over time because there isn't. So let me get into an area. I mean, it's almost 45 minutes. Wow. How do you resolve this conflict for the generations to come? Which is that, uh, yes, children need upbringing from one of the parents, or do you believe that uh, the two partners can figure out a way ahead? Or do you think that there is something that needs to happen or change for the future? Because I think you've touched upon three or four very important aspects. One is that the world today is not the one it was before. The amount of choice that children have has changed dramatically. Uh, their impatience has grown. The current generation is uh, fighting with trying to build their own careers and trying to ensure that they're showing their children the way. Is there a resolution, or do you think that the solutions may not be apparent to us right now, but each generation will figure it out exactly like you did?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think it is going to keep evolving, right, Venu? I mean, we are also learning as we go. And I think your question about should it be both the parents who play a pivotal role, I think yes. You
Yes.
have to constantly be a team because honestly, we are also part of these nuclear networks, nuclear family setups right now, where the only person who the child is interacting closely is with the parents, right? That's
Yes.
like their very, it's their unit.
right,
They have to witness both the parents work, uh, hard work. Like they have to see them work hard, they have to see them being independent, they have to see them work as a team. These things will then go a longer way in reminding them of what it makes. It takes a village, right, to raise a child, like they say. But
right, absolutely.
they have to know that
Couldn't
that
agree
village
with
is
more.
not just one parent, or it has to be both the parents. It has to be this
Yes.
entire unit which is working together.
Okay, okay.
uh, so I don't know if I'm answering your question completely, but
No, you
one
are,
is
but I think the answers are not self-evident. Miriam, what's your take?
No, both the parents, of course, it is very, very essential that the children grow up along the ideas of both the parents, because it doesn't work out if one says that, okay, I'm going out for work, so you only take care of the children, or no, it doesn't. And by the end of it, if something goes wrong, shouldn't be saying that, okay, it's because of you. That
No.
doesn't work out. While you're bringing up children, it has to be both of them. The values of both the parents have to be inculcated into the child to understand the seriousness of life. I think that is very important. And as far as the generation is concerned, I think it has to evolve. Each generation has to figure out how what the changes are, and you have to work accordingly, because you cannot be, probably I cannot relate to what how my grandparents were living. It is not possible. So you have to evolve and work according to the situation, the circumstances, and the situation. Now, I think that's the way of life right now.
Okay,
But then there is a huge gap which I fish, no, which a better value system needs to be put forth for the children growing up, the,
right.
the present generation. Yeah,
Right. Now, one of the things I've noticed is that which changed is a lot of Indian families began to go abroad.
yeah.
In the last 20 years, a lot of people have, gone and set up their homes abroad. And invariably, it is parents who end up traveling to ensure that those first few years of that family abroad are managed. This is not something that parents earlier had to do. The distances and the cultures they're straddling now are very
And
different.
and unfortunately, what happens is now those set of parents who are grown old now and are living alone don't have the attention of their own children
Right.
coming and looking
Very
at
true.
them. This is I see that very often now. People in their 80s struggling to be on their own because children are abroad. I know I don't blame the children too, because of this is again the circumstances. You cannot blame the children for everything.
Right.
It is their
Right.
circumstances, the work schedule are like that. So it is rather unfortunate that things are changing. Uh, no, not so for very good. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
not,
I
it's a
also
problem,
want
but
to.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. When you're
No,
saying something.
Shivani, yours is the thing. Please go ahead.
I was also want to add on to that it takes two parents to bring up a child, and it definitely required. That's why my husband shifted his job from merchant navy to ground job, because it's not a one person's job. If I am
Sure. Yeah.
something, I want to inculcate something, I have something good to give my child. Definitely, my husband is also there, and he also has so many qualities which my child has to see every day. Not like after 6 months I'm watching him, he's watching his father, and like thinking like it's all goody goody and it's all good. So it's like it takes two, and it takes a community, because there's a difference between two families, totally different. My parents were very liberal and unbiased. My brother used to work. My brother used to wash utensils. My brother used to mop the floor. But here, my husband is not doing that. So I definitely want my child to do everything, the life saving skills, which
Right.
is like cleaning, cooking, and taking care of himself, hygiene and everything. That's all things are really important to teach our child now, because this is coming from, ancient times, like people are doing that, and this is the only thing constant which we can teach our child: to cook, to clean, to take care of themselves
Right.
and their home.
So,
And that's
yeah,
that's what important
it's
is.
great. Great. Those are not gender
Additionally,
specific roles at
yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yes,
Additionally, I
yes.
think, Shivani, that's a very good point on, like making sure that we are passing on our values to them. I think
Ye-
one more thing which we
Whether
definitely
it's a
should do.
boy or a girl, I
Yeah,
believe, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you, whether it's a boy or a girl, the life saving skills like cooking,
yeah.
especially, and cleaning, it's really important for any gender. It's not only for a woman's job, or it's not only a mother's job, but it's a job for everyone. Like, everyone should learn it, and it's not too late, you can learn it now also.
Right.
Yeah, I see my
Also, what I was trying to say is that, we also as parents should make sure that we are constantly upskilling ourselves also, like even with life skills, like, just even if we are creating new hobbies, or if we are pursuing fitness, or if we are pursuing some things challenging which we have not done in the past, to demonstrate to the children that, like we are also going to fail and brush up and stand up and just get on, right? So we want our children to witness that as well. Like, there is no fear in, we should not be just filtering all these things from them. They should see us also falter, and like get up and, move on. So I think that is also a very
Right.
important thing, because that's it, they have only us to, you know uh,
To look up
go
to. Yeah.
through. And I
Very true.
think upskilling ourselves also will give us a sense of fulfillment, and also try to teach our child about, newer practices. So like in my case, it's like, say, sustainability is something I'm really passionate about. So, making bioenzymes at home, or upcycling some old stuff, and, like just doing some low waste practices, composting at home, involving her in that. I think all these ongoing things definitely go a longer way to add value to their lives.
Yeah, to how
To the
children
children.
grow up. Okay.
Yeah.
Miriam, what is it that you wanted to say? You were about to come in and say something at that point.
uh, I think it just slipped out of my mind right now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I think, yeah, the issue really, I think, for all parents today, whether, working on their own or figuring out what is it that you want to do, is like, I think Akshata mentioned this at some point, that the judgment aspect has grown. While the pressure on parents has grown, there is also scrutiny of what is supposed to be right. And women are somehow expected to be superhuman, which is not on. I mean, it's not as if one person can do everything. And I'll be the first to admit that guys get a lot more rope than women do. They're not held to the same standards. And I think COVID was one of those times when you realized how much was actually getting done that you were not aware of. So, to a large extent, yes, the husband handles challenges which come on the outside, and there's a lot. But I think there is also an internal dynamic which is extremely important to manage. So, what is it that to the generation that is coming in? There will be. I mean, I don't think there'll ever be a time when this will get split clearly down the middle, and it'll say this is a man's job and this is a woman's job. There is more overlap happening now than at any other time in history. So there
Yeah.
used to be very gender specific roles. I think they are melting. But what do you think is the long term effect that is going to be there on how you see this evolving? And Deepa, if you're coming in at this point, I'd love you to join. Yeah, Akshata, please go ahead.
Sure. I think it's extremely important. See, we come from a very patriarchal society, right? Like, our society is heavily patriarchal. Like, there are gender roles assigned, and, generation gaps happen, and so on and so forth. I think what is very important to like what will evolve, and what I see as the future is that definitely the gender bias will reduce. I think boys this generation are also able to see that there are real struggles that women face, like looking after children, looking after like aging parents, and there are so many duties that typically the woman used to be the one fulfilling. The man is equally responsible now, and he is happily doing it. There is no remorse in doing it, right? I think a lot of
Right.
men are now it's not about empathy, right? It's just parenting. It's just you are a parent. Like I don't have to thank you for
Yeah.
doing changing the diaper of the
Yeah.
child. You are a parent.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
now the men are also so much more getting on to this, the more appreciative, more like I think the emotional quotient has grown much higher amongst men, and thank God for that, because that is
Okay.
needed, and that's the need of the hour, right? Because for them to even appreciate that a woman, like for me for example, I need my breaks from time to time,
Right.
and my husband has been really supportive in understanding that okay, this is I
Right.
need to step in now, and this is where like he needs to intervene now more than step in now. He's always been stepping in, but intervention, or when he
Yeah.
needs to really
Yeah.
make a disruption. The other thing I would want to leave a thought behind is like I think when I was growing up, I saw my mom, my mother-in-law also. Now I see her, how hard she works and keeps everyone before her. Not to say that I'm not keeping others before myself, but we have to remember to fill our own cup, because if we don't fill our own cup, what are we going to pour from, right? Like there was a very interesting quote which I came across, to remember to fill your cup, because you can't pour from an empty one. Isn't that
Wow.
like, yeah? So if
Yeah.
we are, we are all socially genetically programmed, to be the caregivers and to put others first. Like that's how we've been brought up, all of us, isn't it? And
Yeah.
we
Great.
think we don't deserve the happiness unless everyone around us is happy. That's not true anymore, right? The more
Right.
I do for myself, the more quality I can offer to others, the more I can present my best version of myself to them, right? My more positive, calmer, clearer energy, which is also like it's nice and infectious. People take from it as well. They
Right.
are charged by it. So I would want to be that person. I think going ahead, I want my daughter to do this too. Like she needs to
Absolutely.
be this person to fill her own cup, so that she can pour her
Distribute that
happiness.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So I would love to be
So
that
behind the
person.
show, there's been a woman as well. She's in the sidelines all the time. But Deepa, thank you for doing what you do. And for the
Pleasure,
last
Vijay.
year, she's done everything from interacting with our guests to fixing guests to doing the work that is involved in the show. And she's the one who, frankly, eggs me on when my energy flags at certain points in time. So, uh, thank you, Deepa, for doing what you do. And
Com-
I don't
Completely
think
my
this.
pleasure,
Okay. So it seems that I think when we started this a year ago, we had we never thought that we looked at it week on week and then said, okay, what is it that we want to do? And here we are, 51 episodes later, having spoken to people across so many professions.
So that's a
That
huge congratulations to you, Venu and Deepa, for bringing up to
And
50 episodes.
yes, and I want to thank you for choosing me for the 51, the auspicious number to choosing me.
okay.
So we
No,
wish
I
you
think
another 50 more so that becomes a century, and the 101 one again we are going to come in for that.
Definitely.
Wonderful.
great. Wonderful, Miriam. Thank you all for joining in, because I think without our guests and every single episode, we've managed to learn from the people who came in, because they have their own unique perspective of what it takes to have a career. So, thank you for doing what you do. And I'm sure that as parents, the children you bring up, uh, the husbands whom you've helped, the difference that you've made in order to ensure that families stay together. Because that ultimately, like you said, is one of the reasons why women are the glue. They're the ones who manage to make it happen. So thank you for coming on the show. And It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Venu.
you
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thanks a
You,
lot for the
Akshata,
opportunity.
Shivani, and Miriam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepa.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Deepa.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Akshata.
Thank you.
Bye, Shivani. Nice knowing you. Maybe we'll
Same
catch
here.
up some other time too.
Definitely, I'm coming to your home.
Please
Beautiful
come.
house.
Please do.
Please go.
Please do. You ask Venu how to reach home. He will take you around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Have a good
you. Yeah. So that was a journey with homemakers on our 51st episode. As usual, we'll continue the journey. We'll have more of them, and we look forward to having you join us on the show every week. As always, thank you for listening.